This is Afternoons with Ryan Price on CFAX 1070.
Later this month, there will be a BC Supreme Court case, an injunction hearing, a case involving 9 BC public servants who refuse to show proof of immunization and are facing termination because of the BC government's rules that you had to have a COVID-19 vaccination as a condition of employment. 9 or maybe more could be added to this, are going to court saying that is wrong. They want to get that turned around. And one of the people involved in this, one of the co-counsels on this case, is a lawyer with Crease Harman, Umar Sheikh, who's joining us on the line right now. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
So did I get that mostly right as far as what's happening in this court case?
Yeah, so there are 9 petitioners who are fighting against an order which makes it okay to terminate them for cause. That means these guys get the black stain of termination for cause. They lose their severance. And so you've got employees who have been there for 25 plus years who will end up losing their severance. You have pension impacts that are lifetime. And it's not a question of where you fall on mandates. It's a question of what is fair and what isn't fair. And in the case of these employees, what's happening to them is certainly not fair.
Is part of it not so much that there was a consequence, but the severity of the consequence? Is that...
That's some of the main parts of the argument, is that it's punitive. I mean, while these people have been on leave without pay, some of them are young families, some of them are pregnant. While they've been on leave without pay, they have not been able to access employment insurance. They don't have income. They are being terminated without any sort of severance. The government has now put in a policy that only vaccinated employees are allowed to work from home. And so we say even reasonable alternatives are being turned away in favor of dismissing people who have many, many years of experience and are from all walks of government.
What's in your argument when you get to the hearing, what is the argument to say that this is invalid? What's that based upon?
Well, it's based upon a couple of things. One is Section 15 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and freedom of conscience, including bodily security and what you want to do with that. And the second is, and as important, is fundamentally adding a term and condition in one's employment contract without consent, without money, and that leading to being fired. And so if this is allowed, we can technically start adding terms into anybody's employment contract with whatever the prevalent view at the time is. And no matter how long you've worked there, 25 years or more, you end up getting fired and stigmatized for it.
Interesting. So that could be the precedent that is set by this if it doesn't get overturned, is that the employer can just willy-nilly say, well, now this is a condition of your employment. We're just going to insert it unilaterally, and you've got to accept it. And the argument will be that's not correct. Now, that should not be allowed to be a precedent.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. This is a lot less about vaccines, which doctors are far more competent to comment on. But it's a lot less about vaccines and more about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and your fundamental right not to have your employment contract altered and then fired without any sort of severance or due process.
So when this hearing happens later this month, I'm assuming it's not just a one-day thing, or how long do you expect the process to take?
So the initial hearing is a hearing seeking an injunction. So what we're seeking that the court to do is grant a block of time where people aren't terminated until the main case can be heard. The main constitutional case is scheduled to be heard in May. And so really all we're asking the government to do is not fire these people for at least a month or not harm them any further while they get their day in court, which is 2 days in court, which is scheduled in May.
Okay, so the injunction hearing for March, the main case to be heard in May. And by that point, who knows where the pandemic will be? Who knows where health restrictions and things like vaccine mandates will even be at that point? Could that change anything?
Well, unfortunately not. I mean, the way it's designed, and you're absolutely right that the pandemic is evolving, our knowledge and response is evolving, but the way this order by government is drafted, it's a final order based on the current vaccine, not based on boosters, not based on the next year's vaccine. It's based on the current one, and it is a final order, and so people are being terminated for failing to comply with that order.
There are 9 people, 9 BC public servants who are officially on this this court case, but there's many more people affected, right?
Yeah, so the group, which I highly recommend people go and visit their website, is called bcps4freedom.com. They are a group of people from many different ministries and many backgrounds. They are about 500 strong right now, and that includes members of the BCGEU as well, and these are included government employees. We're still working with them to determine what, if anything, we can do, but we certainly want to help. At the end of the day, our goal is, no matter how we got through this pandemic, and we commend Dr. Henry's leadership, but no matter how we got through this pandemic, we hope not to come out of it divided.
My guest has been Umar Sheikh. He's a lawyer with Crease Harman, and he's co-counsel on a BC Supreme Court case involving BC public servants who refuse to show their proof of immunization. They are facing termination because of it, and they will have their day in court. Much appreciated. It's been a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.